So hello people, we are here for the game analysis of the third game of the NC World Masters in Dortmund from this year, with Viswanathan Anand playing the white pieces against Vladimir Kramnik. And I'm happy to have again Vladimir here himself, and also Nenad Tomasev as the expert who can tell us about the opinions of our artificial intelligence AlphaZero. So he is here from DeepMind. And yeah, we have a look at the third game now in this video. Again, it was a move first c4, and we already discussed about that in the first two videos played here by Viswanathan. And Vladimir, you went c5 again, knight f3, and this time g6. So
yes, I wanted to play something a bit different, you know, for the third game, and then I got this idea, which is very interesting. I guess it's by the standard of classical chess, it's an entire new opening. Yes, it's g6. So there is a lot to discover yet, but it seems like it makes a lot of sense to me. This setup which I've played in this game.
Okay. Vishy played third e3, and okay, Nenad, what is the opinion of AlphaZero in this early stage of the game? What is his preferred move?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are many alternatives. They're all ultimately similar. I guess AlphaZero here has a preference for a more direct play with d4, just saying, okay, you're taking some time on the king side. Let me just try to open. And yeah, this exchange: knight c6, c4, bishop g7, bishop e3, d6, knight c3, and then king f8 slowly. I guess these are the interesting moves, like thinking about when are you going to start moving the king out of the center, if you're going to start moving it out of the center. And here king f8, yeah. And white proceeds with f4, like exchanges on d4 with the knight, bishop takes h5, so gaining some space there, bishop e2, for instance, and so on. So
yes,
this becomes like a position, right? But this is the style of play that AlphaZero opts for here, a setup where there is some kind of a space advantage, I guess.
Yes.
The board.
Yes, I mean, I can only add that third before was definitely the main line in my preparation, which was maybe a couple of hours altogether. So it's a Maratsi system, yeah, which considered to be in classical chess, yeah, this Maratsi system where, yeah, this, of course, an ability to castle for both sides, it makes it, well, give some certain flavor to this position, but I've analyzed it. That was my main part of preparation. I can only say that I wanted to play something a little different with black than what AlphaZero says, but I'm not going to tell you because maybe I'll still play some more no castle chess. So I don't want to tell you my preparation, but I thought that black has chances to equalize with some interesting, a bit original way of playing in this position. But definitely d4 was my main concern, because after e3, what was played in the game instead, yeah, then I decided to go for this setup, which looked very interesting to me. I mean, they taken this d6 h5, and I thought it's very interesting, at least for one game, and very complicated position. So all what I wanted from that game.
Okay, but you did not take here with pawn takes d4, but first played d6.
I thought it was not very important. I mean, I thought it would lead to the same position, because anyway, playing d5 is quite sharp and very unclear, at least humanly. Yeah, I mean, on the move 5. So I thought I will always have time to take cd, and I was striving for a complicated game where I could get certain winning chances. So
yeah,
if my opponent, if Vishy is going to play d5, which leads to a complicated position, I didn't mind.
Yeah. Maybe we can take a little look at the AlphaZero line here, because it's quite entertaining. So the game went on with bishop e2, as Vladimir told us, and then he took and played h5. We'll come to that in a second. But this d5 idea, which Vladimir said leads to entertaining positions, that's right. And AlphaZero shows us some fascinating lines. Yeah, Nenad?
It does. I mean, obviously, my chess play does not compare, right? But when I was learning how to play chess, I did like the Benoni style of positions. So, like this structure, I kind of liked back then, but it can be very sharp, and AlphaZero shows exactly how in this style of chess it's even sharper. So yeah, e6, and then it's not the only move by far. So there are some alternatives, but for e6 in particular, e4, it gets really interesting. So ed, cd. Queen e7, so putting some pressure on the pawn, and then just bishop e2, ignoring the threat. Queen e4, which gets potentially exposed. So knight a3, aiming at yeah, some squares, b5, I guess, also. Knight f6, black continues trying to develop, but there is no castling, right? So you can't just castle into here. So knight b5. And this becomes like a really fascinating position. When I was looking at the analysis here, I had no idea what was going on, obviously. I mean, I tried AlphaZero's assessment tactically, but king e7, I was just stunned that there is time to play this move. And this rook is hanging in the corner. It's unclear to me, like to my, amateur eyes exactly. I mean, okay, black gets development for it, but is this enough compensation for a rook? Is that recapture what is going on in this position? So knight g5 here.
Yeah, that's a crazy move as well from AlphaZero. Best move, knight g5.
Yeah, not making it any simpler to calculate. Queen d5. And then bishop f4, and it's just, I mean, I was very cool. Rook d8, even just bolstering that, and knight c7. So now AlphaZero goes for what was an option a couple of moves ago, and now queen f5. Queen comes to d4, defends the bishop on f4 because it's attacked now, black just develops knight c6. Bishop d3, okay, gains a tempo on the queen. Queen goes to d7, and now finally the a8 rook is captured. But black has lost that rook for the time being. So where is exactly this amazing compensation coming from? So we see h6, knight e4, an exchange once, g5, so gaining some space there, bishop g3, f5.
f5, now gaining more space,
Yeah, and obviously threatening the g3 bishop with like potentially f4 later on. H4, just ignoring that like entirely. Fe, hg, and h5, just not opening the line for the rook, and it's
completely
just
crazy,
crazy position. So if d5 had been played in the game, I mean, obviously, I'm sure both Vladimir and Vishy would have played something similarly crazy, exact line. But
well, I would say that I stopped in my preparation after CD Queen e7, and it looked very interesting and clear and very double-edged. So that was it. That was my part of preparation. But I guess we would have played all this line if it would happen over the board, because it looks very natural.
I mean, this position is quite interesting for no castling chess, because black gives away this exchange on a8 or this full rook at first, but is ahead of in development, and the white king on e1 is stuck in the middle more than the black one. The black piece is out.
If white would have been able to castle, I guess that wouldn't make sense. But
no.
Since white king is in the center, that changes completely the situation, and it's very unclear. And I think that the computer assessment is it roughly equal, a little bit for white, but
a little better for white.
Yeah. I guess maybe one factor here, and this is just my guess, is that okay, well, black king will evacuate if check, I guess, to f8. That white can't really play king e2 to try to manually cast it because of knight d4, right? So if it's evacuating, it has to go laterally to d1 or f8, which is not as...
Okay, that was another story, but some entertaining lines by AlphaZero. So in the game, Vishy did not go for d5. Okay, he was leading the match, so he was not interested in making too complicated in this game. Played bishop e2. And now this idea Vladimir told us already with h5, we already saw that in the first games. And AlphaZero goes with it and also likes this idea here.
But I think it makes much more sense than the first game, because now it's very... natural for the way of playing for black. So he gets knight on f5, king to f8, h4, rook h5, and sometimes maybe king g8, king h7. So it makes a lot of sense of what I thought. And also in this structure, it's quite difficult for white king to find a safe place. So I think it's very interesting.
So in the game of the knight c3, knight f5, Vishy played d5. So AlphaZero gives us one alternative here with king f1, but see this idea.
That is very interesting, because I thought somehow king f1 and then g3, king g2. It looked to me like, okay, it shouldn't be too good, too strong, because the king, first of all, you lose 3 tempos to get the king on g2, and it's not safe, the king on g2, because of this diagonal. That's what I thought, knight c6, and black should be fine here, in my opinion, normal, interesting position, but computer still likes it. I humanly prefer not to play g3, just because then my king is like always weak. So, but okay, it's anyways, what Vishy played is yeah, it's also fine.
Yeah, Vishy went for d5. You played knight d7, also a very good move, I guess. Bishop d2, king f8, also a strong move. Now again, AlphaZero wants to play king f1, yeah?
Yeah, king f1 g3 still, yeah. But I think, I mean, it's very, anyway, it gives 52% for white, which means position is just extremely complicated and more or less equal. Yeah, so very, very complicated play.
Yes, yes. And yeah, okay, you got what you wanted in that game, yeah? An interesting position after the opening. So Vishy went rook c1, which is not a mistake, but king f1 was preferred slightly by AlphaZero. a5, also a nice move to prepare this knight c5. Still, AlphaZero wants to go king f1, as we already said, but Vishy went knight a4. Yeah, what does it say here, Nenad?
Well, it does see this as a mistake because it's a sort of a 10% difference in expected score on the move, which is quite a bit. So it probably sees it as almost like a wasted tempo of some sort. And then I did come back later on, so maybe this is justified in that way. And it actually thought that it wasn't knight f6 which was played in the game, but that it was knight c5 as a move that takes advantage of knight a4 with the line that follows it. Maybe we can just go through quickly. So again, it wants king f1. It seems to be a recurring theme. It's not.
But yeah, he says king f1 and taking on b2. But if this is a bluff, then black is just a bit better, yeah.
No, I mean, I would definitely have gone for it, but just I mean, yeah, that is a puzzling moment for me because I saw that knight a4 actually white wants bishop c3. Yeah, that's his plan basically. Yeah, and after knight c5, okay, I haven't played it because of bishop c3, obviously, or takes and bishop c3. Or even knight c5, d5, bishop c3. Well, I wouldn't say that it's given something to white, but I saw during the game, and I think Vishy as well, that this is the way, of course, he wanted to continue, yeah? There is probably something wrong with it, but I don't really see, I mean, I don't say that white is better, but I don't see why he should be any worse. So that's why, since I wanted to win, I decided to play knight f6. So that is very interesting moment because computers, AlphaZero says that it's 60% for black, so it means like black is a bit better. Yeah, but I cannot really understand why, but I guess it's my problem and not the problem of AlphaZero. Because it looks like you change bishops, queen to d2, and white has a very solid position, and that's I don't know, somehow I was not happy with this position.
Yeah, maybe somehow he thinks that the king is safe on g7, the white king has to make a few moves to be safe. This bishop can be bad at some point, yeah.
Yeah, there are some, and maybe there is something very direct, complete, I don't know, but that definitely I have, I mean, that was my concern, yeah, and I'm sure that Vishy would play like this, I mean,
Okay, so here we can see a little bit other opinion by the artificial intelligence who says knight c5 is better for black. And instead, okay, knight f6 was your move in the game, and Vishy went back with knight c3. And now you went for e5.
Yeah, that was a complicated decision. I mean, I could have just played h4, b6. It's very complicated position. White would go bishop d3 and so on. But yeah, e5, it looked interesting to me, but maybe I a bit overestimated black's chances because I thought black is already maybe taking over the initiative. That was my feeling, but maybe I was wrong.
Okay, after take bishop g5, yeah, what's the evaluation of AlphaZero here, Nenad?
It's very much equal. I guess it has a slight preference for playing h4 here with some of the ideas being discussed, and then actually maybe it's just interesting because of the motif. So queen d2, which is natural, I guess, but then rook h5, which is something.
As Vladimir already mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, is often an idea behind this, and then I mean obviously it gets complicated because it's a complicated position later on. But yeah, queen b6 is perfectly fine. It's a very small difference.
I saw that white has a quite clear plan to play bishop d3, king f1, queen d2, b3, many useful moves. So I wanted to do something rather direct. And this idea of transferring the knight to c5, then maybe continuing with a play a4, play on the queen side, I thought that makes sense, actually.
Yes, I think AlphaZero agrees with that, but just wants to play it right now. Yeah, without your rook e8, you did rook e8, but AlphaZero wants to go knight d7 directly. And
yeah, probably doesn't change much because what happened in the game, I first went rook e8, and then I could have done something very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, so after rook e8, in f1, I still finally played knight d7.
Knight d7.
Yeah, b3, and now, of course, now it took me. I was playing for a win, and of course, knight c5 was a logical continuation. That was my plan, but then I couldn't really see. Yeah, and that is the best move according to AlphaZero, and I was not sure after king g1 or even bishop b3. I mean, yeah, I liked my position, frankly, but I couldn't really see the follow-up because white simply wants king h2, rook d1, and yeah, maybe black is fine, but definitely white is also doing well. So I played a very risky and actually conceptually wrong way of playing, but I wanted to use the moment when the white king is still in the center to create some very direct play.
So if we speak about this position, what is AlphaZero's opinion after this knight c5, king g1?
I mean, yeah, this is its preferred way of playing, still sees it as equality, and it wants to make some things happen on the queen side. So it goes a4, ba, and queen a5 to put some pressure there.
White has to take on a4, I think so, yeah, because b3 is hanging, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the king gets evacuated to h2, and then an exchange on c3 of quite a few things. And the king goes to g7, and I guess those weak pawns on the queen side will show.
Yeah, but here it's clear that it's only white who can be better. Yeah, finally black equalizes with accurate play according to computer, but it's clear that it's not the way to play for a win. Yeah.
Yes.
So even if objectively better, but if the move I played is bad, but it makes sense because I don't let this king g1, king h2 maneuver. Yeah, with this play, it's only the issues that the other problems with it. Of course, it's very strange way of playing f6, g5, but again, as I've mentioned, I try to use the momentum before its king gets to h2. And the idea is, of course, that if bishop h2, then g4, yeah, very direct play, g4, and then bishop h6 comes, g3 comes. So what I actually underestimate after g5, I was calculating knight d5 as a main move. And it gets very complicated, maybe queen d8, and I always have this g4 idea, is very sharp play. But I saw that after bishop e3, what happened in the game, take f3, and actually all I need with black is to get f5, and then I would have a great position, yeah? Sooner or later. And it seems that white still in the center, and I thought that black should be able, like in Sveshnikov, more or less getting the Sveshnikov style position. I thought it's very complicated double H. But then when we get there, I realize that I simply cannot really get this f5. And then in that situation, I just couldn't find a way how to proceed. And it's true that AlphaZero proves that white is already much, much better in this position, which to me is not obvious, frankly. It's not obvious at all because I have bishops. Once I open up my black square bishop, my king on f8 is safe. Rook can get via h6. Queen is good on d6. Visually it doesn't look bad at all, but it is already bad.
Yeah. And AlphaZero approves that Vishy played very strong here after this f6 move. As you said, bishop f4 and bishop e3 were the best moves. And yeah, Vishy played after knight c5, this bishop d3. And it were just the best moves. And as you said, you got the problem that you cannot play f5. And later on,
I was sure that I would manage rook h6, g4, f5 at some point, but I cannot manage, because rook h6, knight d4, I thought maybe f5, rook f6, but nothing worked. So I spent all the remaining time because after f5, white can always just take on f5. So I spent all my remaining time, and I understood situation is pretty bad, the position soon deteriorated to a really dramatic situation, but somehow I managed to fight back, and with the help of my opponent, who, by the way, in my opinion, played a fantastic game up to, let's say, move 30, just very strong game. But then relaxed a bit too early, probably thinking that it's winning, completely winning, and I managed to escape miraculously. But by the way, the second part of this endgame, the rook endgame, is also extremely interesting.
Yeah.
That's probably a subject of another conversation.
I guess this is a somewhat interesting moment as well, because, and it's hard to interpret sometimes AlphaZero's percentage is an estimate, so how likely someone is to win in a position, whether it means that the position is a draw or a win. But here, for instance, it gives 66% for white after a4, which can still sort of go either way, really.
And now rook h6 is move,
yeah. So it gives it as an advantage for white, which is substantial, but may not be winning. So he thinks this is the best way to try to.
Okay, and after this knight take,
humanly, it's hard to understand why including a4, b4 makes such a big difference. Yeah, because it might also open up the b line for the rook. But yeah, I mean, like if white goes knight d4 still, but I have no doubt AlphaZero has his ideas about why a4ba is so important to get for black. Because
there maybe some queen b4 ideas sometimes, or
yeah, but then some. Yeah, maybe he creates play on the c4 pawn or something, but it's not obvious for him and I. But but that's strange, because including a4ba makes situation for black much less critical than without it.
Okay. Yeah, but after this knight takes d3 you played, and queen d3, f7, knight d4.
Frankly, situation is very bad here for black, but I simply was running out of time, so I had to play some move. I mean, at least some, because otherwise I understood that I would just sit there and lose on time, because I don't see any good move. So I have to, if you don't see good move, you have to play some move at least. So
yes,
that's what I did.
So as a conclusion, I mean, you had your good chance, as AlphaZero said in the opening, after this knight a4 move with this knight c5, and AlphaZero says that black is better. And afterwards, maybe you made a slight mistake with this f6 move, f6 g5, and Vishy was very good afterwards.
It was obviously a big mistake, but of course it was basically partly provoked by the situation in the match, but all in all, again, a lot of things to discover still in this game, and we need to learn, even top players, to understand it better, this game. Because to me, certain assessments of the AlphaZero, which are definitely much more correct than our assessments, no doubt, they're very strange. I mean, I wouldn't think like this, but I guess it only shows that that we need to study this game, this no castle chess much deeper to get a better understanding of the typical positions.
So the rest of the game, as Vladimir told us, Vishy was winning for sure, and then we had a dramatic rook end game. We will link that under the video below, but many chess sites already analyzed that, so you will find that in the link description. And thanks both of you that we analyzed this opening of this very exciting third game of the match. If you have any more questions, just ask in the comments to the video, and we will see again to game number 4. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.